and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to this edition of Drive Time on December 15th. Crazy to think here. We are December 15th already. The Christmas holidays, 10 days away. Hanukkah just started last night. So for anyone celebrating Hanukkah, happy Hanukkah. I am joined by my lovely co-host, Scooter. How you doing today, sir?
Hey, everybody. Happy Hanukkah day 2, I believe it is. So enjoy.
Day 1. Last night was night 1, so tonight will be night 2. Today's
Night
the
2.
first official
Thank you.
day,
Night
right?
2. That's
Yep.
right. Thank you.
That's right. See, we even have for those here, we have a special we have a T-Rex menorah. So that's the way you do it right there.
Yeah,
But
Dr. Hammond.
welcome everyone. So how you doing today, sir?
Great. Enjoying what we have, the snow event we had the other day. That was fun. And now it's 25 degrees with snow on the ground. So we are
How
ready
much
for full Christmas.
how much snow did you guys end up getting?
We got about 4 inches
Okay.
up here,
Not
up
bad.
north. Like the beach got like 2, but we got 4 like Philly and stuff like that. So
All right. So you got I think we ended up with about 6 inches here is where we were at. So good fun to say the least. So but it's here now at a balmy 15 degrees Fahrenheit out there. So craziness. So
perfect.
getting this here set up here to share with everyone. So real quick here, of course, while we do that here, did you know that, of course, you're watching this live maybe on FaceTime or YouTube, but if you can't watch live for whatever reason, you can listen to us the next day on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Pocket Cast, Podbean, Castbox, and Odyssey. So if you want to go old school and listen to Drive Time while you're driving, you have that capability now. It's a pretty cool little feature. So if you can't watch us live and you still want to maybe hear the show, you can do that while you're driving to wherever you drive to.
Watch out of that red light.
Yes, watch out for red light. Yeah, because or else I don't want to get a claim because you weren't paying attention for sure. So
And
let's
you know
make
about
sure.
that.
Yeah, let's make sure that we keep that part away from it. So let's get into it here, shall we? We of course will start with a little bit of football. I'm just trying to get the post up out to the 24/7 group, just so that way we can make sure we get everyone joining that wants to join us. So let me just hit share now real quick. Hopefully that works, and let's get into it. So of course, Friday, Saturday, we do have our first games coming up for the weekend of our playoffs. So in case, if for whatever reason you somehow forgot the matchups and who's going to play who and to where, here's the little graphic here for you. So you got OU and Bama playing on Friday night, and then the other 3 will happen on Saturday: Texas A&M and Miami, then Ole Miss and Tulane, and it ends with Oregon and JMU. And then you see who goes where to play who. So with that being said, there's a quick little recap. So let's get into it. Our first matchup is going to be Friday night. It's going to be at 8 p.m. on ABC. Alabama travels to Oklahoma. Surprisingly, Alabama is the road favorite in this game. They're favored by 1.5, even though Oklahoma did go into Tuscaloosa earlier this year and win the game. So, Scooter, who do you like in this first matchup of the big playoff?
Well, Oklahoma won that game, and they did go to Alabama, and they took care of business. However, they only won by like 2 points, and Alabama lost it because they had like 4 plays where they screwed up on. So Alabama is really the better team, and they lost that game. So I'm actually picking Alabama. I think it'll be a defensive game. The last game was really defensive too. I don't even think there was a receiver that had over 100 yards, and I think the average rushing was like for both teams was like 3.4 yards per carry. So I expect another defensive game with Alabama pulling out at the end, just because they're a little better offensively.
I agree with you on the defensive side. I definitely think this game is going to be another defensive masterpiece. But after the way Alabama looked against Georgia, I just don't know if their offense is going to be good enough to score enough points to beat Oklahoma. So, and I think the crowd at Oklahoma, they're going to be rocking and rolling, especially a Friday night where everyone's going to have all day Friday to get lathered up for that game. I imagine you're going to see a very happy crowd Friday going into that game. Whether they stay happy will depend on the product on the football field, but I'm going to take Oklahoma for the upset and beat Alabama.
See, I think this one's the best matchup too of these 4 games. Just because, I mean, come on, Alabama, Oklahoma.
I agree. The rivalry stake of it should make it good. Plus, you just have it's another SEC with Oklahoma now in the SEC, of course. But they're two big time schools. Of course, the winner gets to go play Indiana, which that's the matchup I really think could be interesting and fun to see who matches up with Indiana and how that one goes. But yeah, I think I agree with you. I think this has the potential to be the closest of the four games and probably the most intense of the four games. So we'll see how it all plays out. But it's a great way to start it off on Friday night for sure.
Oh yeah, looking forward to that.
Then we get into the fun on Saturday with three games. Our first game is going to be probably what I think is obviously that the next of the games that should be close and will be close. It's going to be Miami at Texas A&M. Miami, of course, 10-2 going into Texas A&M 11-1. This is going to be a noon start on ABC. Miami is getting 3.5 points. Scooter, who do you like?
I don't like Miami. I'm sorry. I like Texas A&M. I mean, they've been great all season long, and they lost it. Yeah, they lost one at the
Yeah,
end.
a
So
bad hiccup against Texas.
yeah, it happens. And Miami. I'm surprised Miami's actually in. I still thought Notre Dame was going to beat Miami into the playoffs, even though Miami beat Notre Dame in the beginning of the year. But Duke winning did everything. Yeah, this is all going on because of Duke.
That's right. It's all Duke's fault. That's
Yeah, it's
which
all Duke's fault.
the gentleman Jack was on with me last week, and he enjoyed the fact that Duke blew this thing up, which is true. It did kind of blow it up, and
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what changes the committee makes going into next year, because they're going to want to make changes where as we get into probably discussion of the next two games where that's going to come up. But yeah, I don't know which way this is going, because you want to talk about two teams that have both probably feel like they're going to this game with something to prove. Miami's going to probably want to try to prove that they belong in this game. They should be there. Texas A&M needs to try to prove that the Texas game was just a fluke and that it's not a thing where they had a really soft SEC schedule compared to some, and that helped build up the record. I think what's going to be interesting this one is Miami does have a veteran quarterback in Carson Beck, who at least has been here before with Georgia, right? So he's familiar with these types of games. He knows how to play in them. And I think for some reason, I think that could be the difference here. I think Carson Beck experience over Marcel Reed, who has been a good quarterback, but just had a really bad game against Texas. I think that plays into this, and for some reason, I think Miami's going to be able to go into Texas A&M. Although we talk about another stadium that's going to be rocking. Texas A&M is going to be rocking for sure. But I think for some reason they're going to be able to pull that off.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I mean, if there's one that would be able to do it, would be Carson Beck in Miami. However, he has also shown that he can throw 4 interceptions a game as well.
Also true. You just never know which one you're going to get for him. So, and I was talking trash all year about Miami. So for some reason, I don't know why I think that they can beat Texas A&M, but maybe it's because deep in my heart I want to see another Ohio State Miami game. And the other part of it too is this is the one here I do want to go back to this. Like, this is what I don't understand with what this committee did. Like, okay, you're going to put Ohio State in as the 2 seed, but likely you have to assume when you do these things that Texas A&M is going to win this game. So now that means you're going to let Texas A&M basically host a home game against Ohio State and Texas, and in theory, if somehow Tulane could beat Ole Miss, you're going to allow basically Tulane to play a home game against Georgia. Now, granted, Tulane does not have the fan base, like some of these schools do, but
Yeah.
I still don't get why you put Texas A&M where they could end up playing a game in Dallas, and you put Tulane where they could play a game in New Orleans. It just doesn't make any sense to me how they did that. But
Yeah,
that's
and if you're going to do that, wouldn't you want to throw like Miami over on the other side where they can play in the Orange Bowl? I mean, that would
right.
like if you're going to do this home stuff, which is cool. I'm cool with it. Like, you
But
got to throw Miami at going to the Orange Bowl.
But the home, if you're going to give a team a quote unquote home field advantage, I think it should be one of the top 4 seeds, not the lower seed team. But that's a whole different thing.
No, I
Sarah
get it.
throws in her picks here. She's going boomer sooner, so she's got Oklahoma and Texas A&M. So she agrees with you she agrees with me on one and you on the other one. So she's got Oklahoma and Texas A&M winning on
All
those
right.
two. So then we get into the fun, and these next two matchups, I know what's going to happen if these go the way that they're supposed to go. Everyone's going to be bitching and moaning about these non-power conference schools getting in. But you know what? I like it. I like that these mid majors, which what I'm going to call them because it's just the same that we see come March Madness. I like when these schools get a shot, and you know what? Maybe they're going to get blown out, but maybe one of them hangs in there and creates for a really fun Saturday evening. So the first one is Tulane and Old Miss. They play at 3:30. This one, I'll admit, I'm not quite as comfortable about there being a of Old Miss being able to, or Tulane being able to hang in there, because they played earlier in September, and and Old Miss killed them 45-10. It's a 17 and a half point spread. Scooter, do you got any reason for any Tulane fans to believe they have a chance in this game?
Yeah, yes. Okay, so I don't believe Tulane's going to win the game, but if you're going to give them a chance, you will say that Ole Miss, their head coach is his first game head coaching.
True.
So,
That,
and it could screw up the team chemistry. I don't think it will, but if there's one, I think if there's any of these upsets that could happen between the next two games, it's definitely Tulane over Ole Miss, simply for that reason. But Ole Miss
yeah,
is a really good football team.
I do agree. I don't, that's the other fun part of this is what does Old Miss look like without Lane Kiffin? Like I think there's two ways this thing could go for this team. I think one, they you see the team just completely rejuvenize and gel to show that it wasn't just Lane Kiffin, and they go out and they go on a really far run. I don't want to go as far as say that they're going to lose to Tulane in the first round if it goes the other way, but I could see what you're saying, where maybe for a half Tulane hangs in there while Old Miss kind of tries to figure out, what they are now under their new coach, which is their defensive coordinator. If Tulane is going to have a chance, their quarterback definitely is going to have to be better than what he was in their first game. Jake Retzlaff was 5 for 17 for 86 yards in their first matchup. That definitely will not get it done on Saturday if Tulane is going to find a way to hang in there.
Correct.
All right, so I think we both like Ole Miss in that one, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
What I think we're throwing down, yeah. And I like Ole Miss to cover in this one too. I don't think they're going to be able to keep this one close. I just don't think it's a good matchup for Tulane either way. But that does not mean that I do not believe that Tulane should not be there. I think that they deserved and they earned that right to be there. They won their conference title, and the ACC sucks. So congrats to Tulane. Now, the team that probably truly got the advantage of Duke was probably JMU, because since the American Conference was the conference that was going to seem like their conference champion was going to be the fifth conference winner no matter what. But when Duke won, that allowed for one of these second ones to get in, and that is in fact the James Madison University. So they get the right to go and play out in Oregon. They are a 21-point underdog. Uh, Scott, are you giving any JMU any shot in this game to hang in there?
No, I'm not at all. But the story of JMU, I mean, they weren't even in like 2 years ago. I mean, this is oh, we're Division One A, and this is amazing. It's a great story, good for them, and hopefully they can put up some points and not get annihilated.
I think I don't know why. I don't know. I think because you want to talk about you know like the city of Cleveland always loves to do the it's us versus the world. You want to talk about a school that should is that and from everything I've seen of them this week, they've been embracing this role of the giant underdog, that no one's expecting them to win, that they don't belong there. You want to talk about a coach being able to easily fire up a team to play in a game. I think it's going to be JMU. Now, I'm not going to go too far to say that JMU is going to win this game. I do think Oregon's going to win this game. I think JMU is going to cover the spread. I think they're going to keep it close for a half to three quarters, and then the talent of Oregon is going to pull this game out where they're going to win it by 14, 17 points. But this game's going to be closer than people think, because JMU's got nothing to lose. They're going to go in there free and clear, and I think they're going to play their asses off to show that they do belong at this level, and to show that it wasn't a fluke. And man, I hope I'm right, because I think you get to that game Saturday night where everyone's going to be watching, and if they keep it close for a half, it's going to be really. I think that'll be one of the times where social media is actually fun to watch with when you get one of these types of games.
When it was interesting, I was keeping tabs on what was going on back in DC this past weekend, and Jim Larinaga and some of the players from the 2005
George Mason, right?
George Mason University, another one of the founding fathers out of Virginia, when they went to the Final Four. So they were actually there. So it's just kind of an irony on that whole thing. Virginia schools, JMU, GMU, not supposed to be there, and they're there. So good
Yep.
on these smaller schools. And this isn't new for Virginia schools either. I mean, look what they also had. What was the other school that made the Final Four in basketball a few years ago? Out of the Richmond area.
VCU.
VCU, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So, they tend to play big, and these small teams seem to play big. So good for them.
Yeah, and we want to talk about, blowing up whatever the college football playoff. If one of these schools, Tulane or JMU,
Oh,
can win one of
forget it.
these two games to validate this system, then the SEC is really going to lose their mind. Because you've already seen all these SEC support. Oh, neither one of these schools belong there. Should have been Vandy.
Yeah.
Should have been Texas. Whatever. And I know I love KG. We know his thoughts about Notre Dame and them being in there. And more than likely, this thing's going to 16 teams where this isn't going to be a problem, right? Like I think we're going to see whether it probably won't happen in time for next year. It might take 2 years, but we know where this is going. But for now, I want to see one of these two schools at least hang in there to show that yes, these schools do belong. And
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just think JMU might have it because I could see Oregon looking ahead and not expecting much. And like I said, JMU's just got nothing to lose in this game.
Well, it's funny that we'll see what happens on this whole thing, but I agree that it'll probably go to 16 teams, and then you'll hear 17, 18, 19, and 20. They're all bitching. We should be in.
But we talked about that last week because like if you looked at the like at field, if you would have had it 16, the next four schools in would probably have been Notre Dame, would have probably been Texas, would have been Vanderbilt, and I can't remember who he said the fourth one was. I can't remember who he said it was, but then you looked at the next team after that was like Utah, and I think we're all kind of in agreement, like, okay, yeah, Utah would have been the point where we've been like, yeah, they probably don't deserve to be in. So like it seemed like at 16,
probably BYU would have been in there.
BYU, that was
because
that
they lost their game.
Yep.
But they
That
were
was
in the
the fourth.
championship game. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, that was the fourth team. So we're like, those were the four teams you kind of looked at them like, yeah, they you could make an argument for them being in there, but then we're kind of like the next group up was like Utah and a couple others like, yeah, 16 might have been the good cutoff for this year where I think you could have accepted it and been okay with it.
Well, when we get to March Madness, remember there's going to be like 6 ACC teams bitching and complaining. We should have been in. It's like, oh my God. You probably you shouldn't have been in.
Right. Or they get enough schools as it is. So, all right. Anything else on the college football, Scooter, you want to throw out there before we move on?
No, I just real quick want to congratulate. I wasn't able to do it before, but congratulate Mendoza on winning the Heisman, well deserved. And I've been rooting him on all season long.
You did. You were early in the Mendoza camp for Heisman. So and he did win that on Saturday. No surprise to me. I think especially when you saw some of the other awards come out the day before that he won, like they basically won the player of the year, and that's usually the sign when you win that one you're going to win the Heisman. It's as much as I know KG wanted his running back from Notre Dame loved to win it. It's a quarterback award now. It doesn't really matter whether position you play. If you're not quarterback, you're probably not winning the Heisman unless you just have a season of all seasons anymore.
Well, I think Devonta Smith would say he'd disagree with you on that one, but we'll let him do it.
That's right. We can. All right. So let's get into the NFL. We had a busy day yesterday, for sure. A few little minor upsets, a couple of great games. Probably the biggest news of the day was the injuries. Unfortunately, I'll still say, we know if Showtime Sarah was on, she probably with her hatred for Pat Mahomes, maybe not. But Pat Mahomes tears an ACL, then Micah Parsons tears his ACL. Both obviously clearly done for the rest of this year. There's going to be questions, of course, when will Mahomes be ready to go for next year? And of course, Kansas City also loses to the Chargers to officially eliminate the Kansas City Chiefs from the playoffs with 3 weeks ago, which is kind of crazy to think. I know we had some different opinions when we did our predictions of where KC would or wouldn't finish. And some people did think it was going to be the end of the KC run. I thought that they would at least get in this year. But here we are. We're looking at an AFC playoffs without the Kansas City Chiefs in it. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Mahomes and the Chiefs had a great run going on. It doesn't mean they can't come back next year and do. I mean, we saw Brady did the same thing.
Right.
He tore up his ACL. They didn't make the playoffs that year. However, the Patriots were 10-6 and missed the playoffs that year. But
Right.
but then he comes back and wins, I don't know, another 27 Super Bowls, something like that. So it can be done. And Mahomes is one of those talents that he can do that. Now Micah Parsons, that really stinks for what Green Bay did. They gave up everything. He'll be back. He'll be back. Both of those guys will be back, and they'll probably be better than they were.
Yeah, and that definitely affected Green Bay and their game with Denver. We'll get into that game here in a little bit here too. So definitely some brutal injuries for teams. One that still has some playoff hopes and one that lost their playoff hopes after yesterday. We'll start with the NFC South. It seems like this is the division that. Oh, here we go. Here she is. She a little late, but she is studying for her finals tomorrow. Womp womp, poor baby Mahomes. So
Yeah.
knew that was
One
coming. Knew that was
time,
coming.
one time.
If only she was here. If she only she could have been on here for that bit of news. But she's got an exam tomorrow, so we'll give her a pass on that one because I want her to get a good grade. So the NFC South, the division no one wants to win. It started off last Thursday with Atlanta. You know, this Atlanta team that one week looks like they should have been in the playoffs all along. Then the next week looks like they belong down at the bottom with the New Orleans and the Raiders. I can't see New Orleans anymore because they've won two in a row with Tennessee and the Raiders. And then so you're thinking, okay, here you go. Here's Carolina's chance to prove they belong. And New Orleans says, nope, we're gonna shock the world and beat Carolina. And with that, we still have these two teams that just seems like who's going to win this thing. They play each other this week, so maybe one of them will show they actually want to win this division.
Maybe.
Maybe
We'll
exactly.
see. No, I mean, all the teams. I mean, the Buccaneers Falcons game, that was just crazy. So, I mean, the Buccaneers should have won that game.
Yeah,
I think it was like 3rd and 28 with like 3 minutes left in the game, and somehow Atlanta gets like 14 yards on a pass play to make it 4th and 14, and then they get the first down, and so that's what led to that whole fiasco. But none of these teams, it's like nobody wants to win this thing. Um, there's talent in there's talent on every one of these teams, but I think the Carolina Panthers are the ones with the biggest guts on this whole thing. Like the Buccaneers should be running away with this, and they
they
just I
should.
mean injuries. I get it. And at one point, I was Baker Mayfield was the MVP of the season.
Sarah asked if it counts for the hate, so I decided to count it for her hate count for her Mahomes because I know she was thinking it, so therefore that I will count it for sure. So, um, yeah, the Carolina Panthers are the weirdest team I think in the NFL this year because you look at some of these games that they've lost, and there's been between play calling of their head coach, which has come under fire, and Dave Canales, some of their personnel decisions that they've made, and just some really bad turnovers. Like there's probably 3 or 4 games that you could look at for Carolina and be like they probably should have won that game, and they didn't win it. One of them was yesterday again too. So they've had some weird losses, and then they go out and they beat the Rams. So it's like you just never know which team with Carolina is going to show up. The one that's well coached and Bryce Young plays well, or the team that looks like the Carolina Panthers of last year that just couldn't do anything right. So it's a weird team in Tampa Bay. Like I really thought this was going to be the week. Like they got Evans back. You thought for sure the offense would be there, and the offense played okay. But then their defense now all of a sudden looks like garbage, and they're giving up 28 points. So it's like I just don't know which of these two teams is going to be the one that actually pulls it out. Either way, I think whoever wins this division, they're going to be one and done anyway. But it's just a question of who gets in, I guess.
Most likely. But the Carolina thing is interesting because they do these weird loss, but they're supposed to lose. None of us thought they'd win over 4 games this year. Come on.
That's
And
true.
and probably we only thought they'd win 2 games and Canales would get fired. But and I think we all thought that the Falcons, they got that. Oh, they're good, they're gonna look good. And so will the Bucks. But I think that's why I like Carolina the most because they've improved.
Yep.
Of all these teams, they've actually improved.
They're
In New
fun to
Orleans, I mean,
watch
their
too.
first year coach, they got to get through that whole thing. But Carolina's improved. The rest of the Falcons, whatever. They beat the Buccaneers. Yeah, the Falcons have shown that they're really bad too.
And New Orleans might have found their quarterback. They're going to be an interesting spot now. Of course, now
Yeah.
they're winning a couple games too. So I don't know. It's something about Tyler So. He looks good. Like these last 2 weeks, he's starting to look like he knows. He's getting a feel for what he's doing out there. That's going to put them in an interesting draft position come draft day. Of course, they've won a couple games, so they're going to be out of those lower picks anyway. So we'll see how that all plays out.
Yep.
Buffalo comes all the way back in an incredibly fun game to watch. New England was up 21 to nothing. They were up 24-7 at half, and then Buffalo just storms back. James Cook just went off in this game, ended up scoring 3 touchdowns. At 21 nothing, I was like, man, what the hell is going on with Buffalo? Like this is just is there going to be? Are we Could we really be looking at playoffs without Kansas City and Buffalo? But then, they right the ship in the second half. They storm all the way back and win the game, and they end New England's 10-game winning streak to keep their division hopes alive. Because now that they're right back in the thick of that, and definitely probably cements themselves in the playoffs and the wild card at the minimum with this win.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the Patriots and you lost to Buffalo. You gave up a lot of points. You're a young team. You lost a big lead. That's okay. You're going to learn, and I mean, they're still going to make the playoffs. I mean, there's never good losses, but this is a loss that they could build upon. They've learned something. Now, when it comes to Buffalo, there's two things you can be concerned because Buffalo, they've had multiple games down where they've been behind by a bit.
Yep.
However, they've had multiple games now where they've been behind by a bit, and they've come back and win the game.
Yeah.
So you see that, and they're like, okay, in the playoffs, you are going to fall behind. And the one thing Buffalo doesn't, okay, we're behind by 21 points. You know what we're going to do? We're going to win the game. And they're confident. And I think they're a strong team heading into getting close to the playoffs.
Anthony checking in, and I do appreciate Ben Wiles. We had John Anthony, so thanks for joining. Yeah, we did lead off with the college playoff pool, with the college playoffs. Basically, we both have Old Miss and Oregon winning, but I think JMU is going to keep the game a little bit closer. And then we differed on the other two. I've got Miami winning. Scooter had Texas A&M, and then I had Oklahoma, and Scooter had Bama winning. Just to give you the quick recap.
Yep.
And then Sarah says Josh Allen is going to be a dad, so maybe that'll motivate him. Yeah, never know. Sometimes different things can motivate. I don't think he needs.
It could
I don't think he
unmotivate
needs.
him too.
Yeah, it could unmotivate him too. Yeah, he could be up late night, and then that be it. So we'll see how that goes. We'll get into the standings of where we're at on the NFL. I disagree with you. I think the most likely upset in the first round is Tulane versus the Rebels. I wouldn't mind that. We did talk about that possibility too, that maybe the coaching change this. The only thing that I'm afraid of is the 45-10 from September. I didn't see anything in there where I think that there's a real shot at them pulling it off. But don't get me wrong, Anthony. I hope you are right. I want Tulane or JMU to win one of these two games to prove the SEC wrong and to prove that they belong. So I am rooting for that. So don't get me wrong on that. It's just I like JMU's chances for whatever reason is to keep it closer. Chip, New England's schedule has been pretty easy though, and not sure they are for real. Yes, they beat Buffalo once, but the other ones are against teams with all losing records except Tampa and Buffalo. Also true. And he says, and this is also true. I mean, come on, they lost to those stud Raiders. Yeah, that was week 1. So when they lost to the Raiders, definitely a much different New England team, and the Raiders team is just an absolute debacle.
A lot of good teams lose the first game against a bad team. It does happen.
If Miami hypothetically makes all the way to the national championship, who is the worst matchup for them? Indiana, Georgia, or Texas Tech? I don't like Indiana matchup for anyone, honestly. That defense is legit, and Mendoza can throw the ball. I think Indiana's a tough matchup for anyone. So that would be my answer to that question. Is I would not want to go up to Indiana no matter what team I root for. How about you, Scooter? Anyone?
Yeah, Indiana would be the worst one for most of these teams. I think they would,
Yep.
if they had to, they'd want to play Texas Tech, but you just want to win the game and then get to the next game. So,
yeah, just win, baby, has an old Al Davis once said for sure. So that's an old school one, right? So Seattle. Speaking of old man, Seattle gets by an old man, and the comeback of Philip Rivers was sold short thanks to Jason Myers and his 6 field goals. They win 18-16. Rivers wasn't terrible though. I mean, 18 for 27. Only 120 yards, a touchdown and an INT. But I mean, he gave them a shot to win the game. You know, they were up until the very end of it. So I mean, I don't think you can ask much more when you pull a 44-year-old off the couch and give him not even a week's worth of practice to do much. So it wasn't terrible. It wasn't probably enough for the Colts either, but he'll get another shot next week against San Francisco too.
Yes, he will. I mean, it's not like Seattle played that great. Like you said, 6 field
No.
goals. It helped me. That helped me win my fantasy game, my playoff game
Yeah.
in our big sideline jockeys game because I got like 28 points from my kicker.
The Seattle running game is the biggest. I don't know what happened to Kenneth Walker because he was a stud last year, and this year him and Zach Charbonnet have been they're both only getting 8 to 10 carries, but they're both neither one of them are running. And then JSN did not have a good game, so that probably didn't help anything either. So yeah, they're a weird team at times.
I mean, again,
Anthony,
Indianapolis is good. There's a reason why they won all those games. So it's like their defense plays well.
yeah, I think this is I think when we'll see who, of course, the matchups are for New England, but I definitely think there's a possibility of an early New England exit for sure. How do you guys see the Miami Pittsburgh game? We'll get to that. I do have that coming up here. That's going to be the last thing that we talk about. So hold tight on the Miami Pittsburgh game. We will get into that here after we recap yesterday. We talked a little bit earlier about the Parsons injury. Denver beats Green Bay. Bo Nix throws 4 touchdowns in the third, 34-26 to win. This was a back and forth game, but then Denver took the lead on a touchdown at the end of the third quarter, go up 27-23, and they held on, from there for the win. Green Bay did get it back to within a point, but then Denver got another touchdown. So this was another one of those fun little maybe possible playoff matchup games. Of course, it would have been not till the Super Bowl, but yet another check mark for Denver for anyone that isn't sure if Denver is legit or not. They may not always win them pretty, but they always keep winning these big games that they get week in and week out. They just win.
Yeah, they're a real legit team. I mean, Green Bay is, of course, a legit team too. I mean, JoJo would tell us that
Right.
a whole bunch of times. But Denver's really good. Like I like Knicks going into this season. I saw Harvey coming in the future as the rookie, and then Troy Franklin, man, whew, that guy. I know Cortland Sutton's there too, but Troy Franklin's the man. I mean, he and Knicks both went to college together too, so they know how to play with each other, and they're good friends. But
definitely see that chemistry for sure.
Yeah, Franklin is keep an eye on he could be a top 5 receiver in this league real soon.
And so I told people the team struggled playing the altitude and Denver was going to win this game, and even people on this channel thought it was crazy. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't part of that. I would have definitely probably picked Denver to beat Green Bay just because it's at Denver, and Denver is just not an easy place to. Denver is not an easy place to play, even when Denver isn't that good. When the team is good and that stadium is rocking and rolling, it's even tougher to play there for sure. So
Denver's good. They got a defense too.
They do. Yes, I agree.
And they have one heck of a coach.
Yep. Then we had the good old shootout back on the West Coast where the Rams took out the Lions in a back and forth game. Really talk about a game that the Lions probably really needed to win. They didn't though, and this was close too. But then the Rams won the third quarter 17-0, and the rest was history from there. So you get the big win for the Rams, 41-34, to really cement their place and put Detroit's playoff hopes in trouble, which we'll get to that here in a second when we get to that screen.
Yeah, I mean Detroit. Yeah, the Rams are a good team. I mean they're 11-3 now. They were in. I mean the Lions are in for a fight. I figured the Lions would probably lose this one, but they were in for a fight, and that was a tough one for them to come out on top on. I like the Rams. The defense looks real. I mean, I know they give up this many points to the Lions. It's the Lions,
Yeah,
but
the
their
Lions
defense is better than what we saw against a regular team.
Agree. Although
and Stafford's just like, what's up with that?
You have seen now the Rams defense against Carolina and the Lions look a little suspect at times, which might be something to be concerned about because I think some teams are exposing some ways to score some points on the Rams, but the Rams also have shown that they can put up points when they need to as well. So not too worried about it. Keith, going back to Denver, the correspondent, that Denver pass rush gets immediate pressure, what seems like every pass play. I agree. They are fun to watch. And Sarah talks about met a guy with the Broncos and Yankees tattoo. Talk about dedication. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Broncos and Yankees. That's an interesting combination of tats for sure.
He was probably growing up outside of Washington in like 1998 and 99, and he be in Denver Yankees, and somewhere in that middle, he was a big Bulls fan too. I'm sure, without a
Right.
doubt.
It does have that possibility, doesn't it? So
Yeah, absolutely.
real quick before we get into the games tonight, we do have some breaking news. Of course, the Commanders did get a win yesterday against the Giants, so I'm sure the Commanders fans, I don't, maybe you are happy, maybe you aren't, maybe wanted that draft stock. It's always an interesting time of year when you're a fan of a team that just is not good. But they have made the announcement. I don't think this is really a surprise to anyone. They're going to sit out JD5 the rest of the year. I agree with it. There's not really a reason to play him at this point in time. The season's lost. He's not. I don't think the shoulder's fully healthy. So why not let the shoulder get fully healthy and wait and bring him back next year? So I don't think this is really surprising news to anyone, but just made official.
Yeah, I mean, a few weeks ago when he came back from the elbow injury he wasn't back, but he was cleared to play, and he wanted to play. The team wanted him to play. Plus, there were like 7 games left in the season.
Right.
So Kippy's like, oh, well, his non-throwing elbow hurts. So we're out of the playoffs. So we're not going to play him for 7 weeks. You can't do that.
Right.
I mean, you could, but you really can't do that. But, so he should have played. Then when he got injured the second time, I'm like, yeah, they should probably say his elbow broke or something.
Yep. Chip says have to sit JD the rest of the year and get healthy. I agree with it. He's your franchise quarterback. What good are you going to do by playing him these last 3 games? So, and he says nope, should have lost, play well, but get the higher draft pick. Well, yeah. I know it's look, being a Raider fan, I don't have to worry about that because we just went and got shellacked by Philly 31-0. So that was nothing there for me to see.
I mean, what you saw with the Redskins Commanders game against the Giants was that you saw who the better team was, and the better team won.
Yeah, I probably agree with that.
Much because it took a punt return for a touchdown too, but the better team did.
Just win. The other breaking news: the Jets fired DC Steve Wilkes. Again, not really a surprise. He's been fired many of a time before, but his defensive coordinator stint in New York lasts 14 games. I think the way that Jacksonville just marched up and down the field on the Jets was the last straw, and I think this is also a head coach trying to save his job by firing a guy or two to show some difference.
Yeah, I mean, Steve Wilkes, he was the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, and he got fired at the end. I think he got fired right at the end of the year. And then he was the interim coach for Carolina, and then they obviously went to Canales. They went in a different direction. I would normally never hire the interim coach, anyways, but which he shouldn't take any. That's not really his thing. That's not on him, I don't believe. But yeah, I mean it's the Jets. You got to fire someone, and they don't want to fire the head coach right now. I think I think Woody Johnson's going to give him one more season.
I think so too.
Up.
I mean, they have nobody at quarterback still. So I mean, I like Justin Fields. He seems like a very nice guy, but he just can't quarterback in this league. So they hopefully they give him, and same thing. Garrett Wilson goes down middle of the year. It's just that anything that offense was doing seemed to go out once he went down, and just has not been the same either. So
and it's not like they played the Dolphins previously before that. And my God, like the Dolphins, I think they put like 250 yards rushing against them with 2 running backs. If I got that correct on my
I think you do.
And Tua didn't have to do much.
Anthony Check and I told people that the Jets are as confident as Dolphins. I think they're going to screw up their draft picks. They could, but I can't really talk about any team screwing up their draft picks, because if any team has screwed up their draft picks, it's my Raiders that have really screwed up draft picks over the years. So I can't really
screw up draft picks.
Oh, but the Raiders have done it so well for so long now. It's getting sad every year and every single time. So But anyway, so let's get to a little bit of the big game tonight. Big game in this sense, right? You got 6-7 Miami, who's still hanging in there. They are around in the playoffs. They've got a shot. They're going up against Pittsburgh, 7-6. Pittsburgh has to win this game to stay in first place in the NFC in the AFC North. You also got no TJ Watt in this game for Pittsburgh, which is going to be interesting. And Miami's still alive. So who do you like in this game tonight?
I like Miami beating Pittsburgh, and I mean, there's a few reasons for it. I mean, like I just said, Miami can run the ball, and you just mentioned that TJ's not going to be there. So they run the ball. They run the ball like crazy, and HN is going to play. He's expected to play tonight. That offensive line looks really good, at least running wise. And Tua gets rid of the ball real quick, so he can use that to his advantage. Now Pittsburgh, when they beat up on a just like Dolphins beat up on a bad Jets team, Pittsburgh beat up on a bad Ravens team, and I think that they could pick off Tua a few times if Tua makes some bad decisions because Pittsburgh does have the defense still okay in the secondary is okay. The offense, I mean DK Metcalf, and then you have Aaron Rodgers had I guess his best game. He threw for under 300 yards, but that was his best game so far. So,
right.
I mean, I just don't. Miami's on like a hot streak right now, 4 or 5, and I don't really care that they're from Miami and they're going to Pittsburgh and it's going to be freezing, and I'm not worried about that.
Anthony puts in, but this is my Dolphins as usual. When the fan base wants them to be bad, and in the top 10, they win games they're not supposed to, and then they're not good enough to make the playoffs. And then he says we're gonna be 10-7 and out of the playoffs because I believe the wild card teams are going to be 11 plus wins. I don't know. I think in the AFC 10 wins has a shot. I think in the NFC with 11 is definitely it, but you might have a shot there. We'll see. My only fear for Miami tonight is Miami historically doesn't usually play well in the cold. The temperature tonight in Pittsburgh is supposed to be a nice balmy 12 degrees. They do have some snow in the forecast. So that's my only fear for Miami is I think they've got a shot in this game. Look, Pittsburgh is always really good at having whoever they play hang around with them. So I think it's going to be a close game. I think in the end, though, Pittsburgh's going to just find a way to win it at home and to keep it going. So Chip put in
I looked
here.
at it like that a little bit too. Like if Pittsburgh's going to win, it's going to be a close one, and I think
Yeah.
it's going to be a close one anyways. But I don't.
Agree.
I think that the Dolphins just sort of take advantage at the end of the game.
I hope they do. I wouldn't mind watching Pittsburgh lose this game, but I just don't know that Miami's going to be able to do it at home. If it was in Miami, I'd pick Miami all day long.
If this game was in Miami, I'm picking Pittsburgh to put like 30 on them.
Chip puts in Philip Rivers needs to get to the playoffs. I'd like to see it, but I just don't see that that's going to happen. And I think this is going to be the real reason why when you look at the standings here right now. I mean, they are sitting there at 8-6, and this is where Anthony was talking about Miami and 7 wins. I don't know because right now 9-5 is in. Does Houston have a couple? Does Houston have another loss in them where they get down to 6 losses? I think that they probably do. So that's what I mean. I think somehow you're talking. I think I could see a 7-loss team getting that 7th wild card spot in the AFC. But we'll see. Right now the wild cards would be the Chargers, Bills, and Houston would be in with the Colts, Ravens, and Miami out. Of course, if the Steelers lose this game today, well, no, wait, the Steelers beat Baltimore in their head-to-head. So yes, I think they would still be in right now if they lose this game tonight, being tied with Baltimore in that division.
Colts play Houston the last game of the season.
Yep. Yeah. So that could be fun. That could be a win and in type game. We'll see how that goes because Jacksonville just keeps on winning. They look to be pretty set at 10-4. And again, we talk about New England 11-3, Buffalo now a game back at 10-4. Denver's running away with the West, and you got the Chargers at 10-4 as well. So Chargers seem to be pretty safely in. They've not officially clinched the playoff spot. I think they just got to win one of the last 3 to officially clinch, and then we go from there. So
the one I'll say with Jacksonville, I wouldn't they're just one up on Houston, and Jacksonville's had an incredible season. We thought they'd do. I think we all thought they would do well this season, anyways. But Houston as well. But I mean, I think Paulie, he would be the first one to tell you that. Oh, leave it to Jacksonville to be 10-4 and top of the division and not win another game the rest of the season. So those things happen.
I know he's got, well, because when you're a fan of a doom and gloom team that has not done well, and then they start to do well, you always wait for it to collapse and fall
Oh yeah,
apart. But so far they're hanging in there pretty good. We'll look
yeah,
real
it's a
quick at
great
the
season.
NFC too. The Rams right now are officially, they have fully clinched. You got the Bears right now, the 2 seed at 10-4. Philly, after their drubbing of my Raiders, 9-5. You got Tampa Bay right now in at 7-7. They have the tiebreaker over Carolina, but Tampa, Carolina play each other this week, and then they play again in the last week of the season. Seattle, San Francisco is in, Green Bay is in, and right now Detroit would be out, and they're a game and a half behind Green Bay with that weird tie coming into fact. It's not looking good for Detroit right now.
No, it's not. Especially Philly basically has it. They can lose all the rest of their games, and they probably still make it. They'd still win the division. So yeah, that's not going to be a wild card spot at nine
Yep.
wins. You got to get up there. That I mean, in Tampa, they're probably going to win it with like 9 wins. So
And that leads to these games coming up this week, which we got a lot of big ones. You got the Rams in Seattle on Thursday night, so you're going to have
yeah.
that big battle there for first place in the NFC West coming up on Thursday. Then on Saturday, you've got Green Bay and Chicago, so pretty much almost not really a play-in game, but Green Bay needs to probably win that game again just to, because of that tie. You just don't
The
want to
biggest
dip
rivalry in
to
the
a team.
NFL
Yep, yeah, that's going to be a fun one on Saturday.
should
And of
be.
course,
Yeah.
they just played a couple weeks ago, and Green Bay won
Mhm.
that game in Green Bay. So can Chicago get their revenge? Then you got Pittsburgh going to Detroit, which is going to especially Detroit. If Pittsburgh loses tonight, you're talking about a must-win game between those two teams, where the loser is probably definitely out of it. You got the Tampa Carolina game that we mentioned before. You also have Jacksonville going to Denver. Could that be an AFC Championship preview game?
Mhm.
And then you also have New England at Baltimore, another big game for New England. To maybe, it's a hard bounce back game against Baltimore. So can they do that? And then you also have San Francisco at Indy. You can talk about Indy at 8-6, and San Francisco in there at 10-4. So we got some fun matchups coming up next week
Mhm.
with
A
this.
lot of flip 'ems. See
Yep.
what happens.
Matt Scooter, San Francisco out of competing for the number one spot in the NFC West. I don't think that they're officially out of it. It's just that with tiebreakers, the Rams have officially clinched a playoff spot. But I think technically they still could get it. They still could get they still could win the West,
Yeah,
because there's still 3 games left for these guys. So
yeah. I mean, they
definitely,
can run a table and win them all, and then the
yep,
Rams can always lose one or two more.
yeah, exactly. And you got the Rams and Seattle playing each other this week.
Right, right,
Should
right.
I Yeah, sure. Yes, you do hear Teddy in the background. He's having his little fun. So he's voicing his opinions on these matchups and who's going to win. So
We're listening.
all right. So those are kind of the matchups for this week here. I think I'm through with all the comments on the NFL. And I know you got a couple other ones. I will get to them. With a couple of them are a little bit off subject, so I'll wait until we got a better spot to bring them in. So anything else on the football stuff before we get into some hockey?
No, it's just I'm looking forward to tonight's game. I mean, this could tell us a lot tonight. How the rest of this goes with at least these two teams. So I know there's a lot of Pittsburgh fans out there, and obviously a few Dolphin fans that are watching this. But it should be a good game.
Agree. All right, so let's get into a little bit of hockey stuff. So first things first, last week we debuted the jerseys for the Winter Classic, which were okay. The Rangers are kind of an homage to their current 100-year jersey. The Florida jerseys bringing back the cat on it, which I like. Now you have these two, which are just, I'm just going to be honest, the Tampa Bay jersey may be one of the uglier ones of these Stadium Series jerseys. The Bruins is kind of a little bit of a throwback to stuff that they've worn before in some of these specialized games. So it's not quite as terrible, but the Tampa Bay jersey is just one that's like, okay, let's come up with the least imaginative jersey that we possibly can, and that's what they did.
Well, I'm happy you agree with me on that because I look at these two jerseys actually. Okay, so I see the Boston jersey and it looks like a 12-year-old made it. They're like, oh, look, it's beautiful. Just make what a Boston Bruin jersey should be. Okay, so he makes this one. It's a pig. It's not a bear. So, and then on the Tampa one, it's like we asked the AI computer to make, oh, what would be the best jersey you can come up with for a hockey game, and that's what they gave us.
Yeah,
Like, oh, this is great, brings tradition in style.
that
It's they,
that's just hysterical. That
that's
you basically
exactly
said,
right.
yeah, yeah, you're right. And
Yeah.
Anthony says the Boston jersey is ugly as hell. Yeah,
It's a pig,
I
it's not a bear.
Showtime says if she had to choose, it's Boston. I agree. If I had to choose between these two, it would be the Boston jersey. But neither one of these two are good. That's for sure.
Now, I will say this for, since we haven't seen them out there yet on the ice. I remember several years ago, the Capitals were playing an outdoor game at the Navy Stadium, at the Navy
Right.
football stadium. And they had these jerseys, blue jerseys with a W on it. And before the game, I just thought, Ovi looks like he's fat wearing this. Like it looks like he doesn't look good. I think the jersey's horrible. Then when I watched the on in action, the jerseys were very good, and
Yeah.
so I really immediately fell in love with them after hating them. So we'll see.
There are some jerseys that do look better out on the ice
Yeah.
than when you see these previews. So we'll see, maybe, but I don't think either one of these jerseys are going to do that for me. But we'll see. And we still have some jerseys to talk about, but I first want to make sure that we're going to have Olympic hockey. We brought this up last week. The good news is the NHL has come out and said that they're okay with the smaller rink, that's not going to be a big issue. The big issue is just going to be, is the rink going to be ready? There's still photos of last week, and I've said this before. When you have cranes still in and around the arena that's being built, and the arena, remember, games start February 5th. That's not a good sign, and that is still the case at this arena. They still have not broken ground on the practice facility either. And when you're going to have games going nonstop at an arena, you need to have some place for these teams to practice. So we'll see. The Olympic Committee has come out. They're saying all the right things. It's going to be done. It's going to be done. They're working overtime. But until I see ice on that rink and stuff ready to go, there's reason to be concerned. And the NHL still has concerns. They have not come out and officially, they are watching this closely, and they have already said they are not going to be afraid to pull the plug if the arena is not ready in time.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things about this is it's actually with this rink being a little small, it's like 4 feet smaller, 4.5 feet smaller. Doesn't seem like it would be but if we look back in the 80s, even through into the mid 90s, we had places like the Boston Garden, Maple Leaf Center. Even I think Chicago Stadium was okay size wise, but those other two were not. They were smaller. And so what they did, especially Boston, instead of getting the speedier guys, they knew it was to be a little more entrenched. So to win the puck and the boards, they had gritty, big guys like Cam Neely. So it's interesting because now we're seeing talk like a person like Tom Wilson of the Capitals, who I mean, the guy's going to score like 40 or 50 goals maybe this year, but he's a brutal hitter in a fighter. Not that there's going to be fighting. There's not supposed to be. But
correct.
Now they're talking about, are the Canadians going to pick Tom Wilson because of the boards and the size difference of the ring?
They should pick Tom Wilson anyway, because if anything, what you saw from the Four Nations tournament is that they could have used a guy like Tom Wilson on that team. Like they just could have, yeah. Well, I think so. Do you guys eventually think the NHL is going to follow suit with the rest of the world and have smaller ice rinks in the NHL, or do you think international hockey leagues are going to follow the NHL? Actually, the international rinks are typically wider.
Yeah.
So there you actually have more room because of the width part of it than where the NHL rinks are longer but more narrow. So I don't.
That's why the Swedes or Russians are always so fast and agile.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, I think the NHL wants speed in the game, but they also want the contact, right? I mean, the fights sell. No matter how much people are going to say that they want fighting out of the NHL, the bottom line is that still puts butts in seats. You want to see an NHL arena get up and get fired up. It's after a fight. Like it just is what it is. So they still want that contact. So I don't know that they're going to go. I don't know I think they like the rinks where they are.
I don't think they're going to change the size.
I don't think the NHL is going to change that much. I mean,
and
the international hockey's not that far behind, and so they're just. I don't think you're going to see much change on the NHL side.
Right.
All right, so that's a little bit of that. So weird Friday. We had two huge trades that you just don't see at this time of year. But we started off in the early part of the day with a goalie trade where Edmonton finally trades for their goalie, and for some reason, they believe that their goalie is Tristan Jarry. This was a head scratcher for me. Edmonton gets Tristan Jarry and Sam Poulin, which is basically an AHL player. He's really has not had much time at all at the NHL level, for Stuart Skinner, Brent Kulak, who's a solid defenseman, and a second round pick. So not only does Pittsburgh get rid of 2 years of salary still left for Jari, they get rid of Jari and they get a second round pick for it. I do not understand this trade at all for Edmonton, where you think Tristan Jari is going to be the answer to your goaltending issues of the last couple of years.
Now, the thing about Skinner is that, I mean, when you're on a team like the Edmonton Oilers, I mean, you basically just have to save, like, make sure they don't score more than 4 on you.
Yep.
Yeah, because you're going to score 5 or 6. But his save percentage is actually one of the worst in the league as a starting goaltender, while Jari is up there, mid. It's not. I'm not saying he's incredibly better, but he is a little older, and he's got a few years on that contract, and just a veteran. They're hoping that'll do a little better in the playoffs. But it's not like they did that poorly in the playoffs. They went to the Stanley Cups 2 years straight.
Yeah, I mean, Jari has been better this year, 10-3-1. He's got 269, and he is at a 908, which is acceptable.
Yeah.
Not great, not bad. The whole thing is, can he stay healthy? Where Skinner this year, he's 11-8-4. He's got a 283, but yeah, he's got an 891 save percentage.
Yeah.
So I think it would not be surprising to me either to see Pittsburgh turn around either one of these two players and flip them again. They're both UVAs after this year. So if Pittsburgh hangs around it, I think they keep Skinner, but they've got a couple of young goalies too, where I could totally see them flipping either one of these guys. So we will see how that all plays out. Showtime.
Yeah.
McDavid is probably talking with his agent for a trade right now with Jari, and that could be the possibility for sure.
Yeah, the thing with the Skinners, I agree with what you're saying. They could move Skinner out because they do like their 2 young goalies, and they're pretty good.
Yeah,
that's why they didn't need Jari anymore.
I don't see them doing that. And Chip talking about the ice rink, that he doesn't see the NHL changing either. And I'm in agreement with him on that. Anthony, real quick, I asked him about his Panthers trades in terms of defenseman or center winger, because we're going to trade Carter for Hagee probably. Yeah, I mean, I've heard that rumor too. I mean, I think, look, I wasn't going to pull up the standings for this one, so I didn't. They're
if you're a Florida Panther fan, you're not liking the standings at the moment.
Well, and that's just it with the Panthers. Like, I mean, they're hanging around. They're at 34 points right now, so they technically are out there 3 points behind, 4 points behind Boston for what would be the last playoff spot, but we're early yet. I can see Look, Bill Zito's a great general manager. He will make moves. It wouldn't surprise me for them to try to add either one of those. I think what could be interesting for Florida is when we talk about this second move, which is Quinn Hughes to Minnesota. Vancouver appears to be going full rebuild. You got a guy like Elias Patterson out there for Vancouver now that seems like he's going to go somewhere before the trade deadline is my guess. Could Florida be one of those places? I could see Florida making a move like that to try to get a guy like that to add in, because look, you still don't know when Kachuk is going to be back. So I think that could be a player that fits a Florida style to maybe keep an eye out on. That would be my bet. But we'll break down this trade here first. Quinn Hughes goes to Vancouver. Minnesota going all in this year. They're definitely going forward. He's still got a year left, but then becomes a free agent next year. You're adding a Norris Trophy winner from 23-24. He's going to be on Team USA. He is just a solid defenseman. Vancouver does okay in this deal. They get 3 good young players. Marco Rossi, very good young player. Zeev Beam, a very good young defenseman. And then they add Liam Ogren, who was a first-round pick last year. Hasn't done much yet this year, but he's only played in 10 games. So he's just kind of gotten the call up into the NHL. So we'll see how that goes. But I like the move from Minnesota. It's a wait and see for Vancouver and what these young guys do.
Great move on both teams. I mean, Vancouver knew they weren't keeping them anyway, so they got a nice little haul out of that deal. And hopefully for Minnesota, Hughes doesn't get injured. But he did score a goal in his first game.
He did.
So
he
did right
away.
Place.
Sarah asking Anthony if he's willing to trade for Hagee to Carolina. Then does Patterson fit well to Panthers? I think he could. I mean, look, he's it's hard to grade anyone on how they are in Vancouver. Like that thing was falling apart last year and continues to fall apart. We'll see how that goes. I think he's going to go. I think Vancouver's trading Patterson, Patterson, whatever. I don't know why I keep saying Patterson, but you know what I mean. One of those guys, one of the Swedes. So we'll see. That's just my gut is that he's going somewhere.
Yeah, it's hard to see what kind of move Florida's going to make. I mean, they Zito could go crazy big too. So it could be little small ones here and there that help fit with the team and not do something crazy. Or
Yeah,
it could just be like totally crazy. Great players moving. If he's someone that it could be serious.
I think too, you'll get an eye where he feels that pulse that team is with Bob because Bob is a free agent after this year.
Yeah.
So, what does he do with Bob? If he's willing to move in Bob, that might be a sign that maybe not rebuild. I don't know that Florida needs to go full rebuild, but maybe he's like, okay, we're going to take advantage of this year being an off year. Let's go and retool for another big run next year, or does
Yeah.
he go from there?
Yeah,
Let's see
I don't
what.
know if you could do that with Bob
Right.
in the middle of the season after winning 2 Stanley Cups in a row.
Yep.
And if it fails, I mean, he'll get run out of that town.
Anthony, I'll address your comment this way. I officiate youth hockey games. This is year 21 for me. Don't get me started on USA Hockey and how they develop players. We don't have enough time for that in this show. I'll try to address that maybe on a lighter day. I don't think that we do a good job in this country compared to Finland and Sweden and developing players. We have a lot of coaches that go about it the wrong way. We have mostly because we have parents that end up coaching U10, U12 games because these programs need coaches. So they pull parents up who know nothing about the sport, know nothing about how to play the sport, don't know how it gets officiated. We just don't see, yeah, don't it's yeah, we've gotten better on some of the higher skill levels, but we don't do a good job of developing youth hockey here at all. Russians, Canadians, other Eastern European countries are more skill oriented. Both, yeah, yeah, that's it. That's it right there in the head. There, definitely. We still go for trying to teach kids how to hit, and it's just, oh boy, yeah, yep, yep. This
Yeah.
is also
We
true.
don't we
It's
don't
all
really
about.
see a lot of if some of you may not remember, but I'm sure Matt does. Darius Kasparaitis. You don't get a lot
Yes.
of those Eastern Europeans who are just going to lay out bone crushing hits. I mean,
Funny you
watching
mentioned
Mary Strakowski was like a bullet.
Funny you mentioned his name because when Jack was on yesterday,
Yeah.
we did a quick because he botches up hockey player names all the time, so we did a quick one, and one of the names I picked was Darius Kasparaitis. Yeah. So yeah. Needless to say, where I feel now, I will. Team USA has gotten a little bit better. They've actually got a younger team. I think they've tried to get the development in. The problem is that USA Hockey is all about money, and so you've got a very big skill differential still in the USA. And unfortunately, to really develop it, you've got to pay lots and lots of money, and that's a whole another can of worms there. So, all right, enough about the bad of the hockey. I do want to get into what is maybe turning into one of the great stories of this year. Every year you have one of these stories of a player that comes out of nowhere that no one is expecting anything from, and then just does crazy good things. So I want to give you the story of one Brandon Bussey. He was just off to a great start in his rookie season at age 27. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. He is 27 years old. He has played in 111 AHL games from 2022 to 2025. Then after that, he signed with Florida. Most of those were with the Providence Bruins in the AHL. He had a cup of coffee with Boston, but never actually got a start in Boston. Never actually got into the game. He sat behind. He was the backup goalie for a couple games, but they never got him into a game. He signs with Florida this year, where he's likely was going to be one of the goalies in Florida. They went to waive him to send him down to Charlotte to play for their AHL team. At that point in time, Carolina, who had drafted taken a goalie in Primo to sign with them, Caden Primo, they were afraid that he wasn't going to clear waivers. PK gets hurt, so they need a goalie. So they claim Brandon Bussey off of waivers. right? So now he is with the Carolina Hurricanes on October 5th. He gets his debut in the NHL on October 14th, and he wins his debut, mostly due to the fact that PK was not ready to go, and Rod has always been a big believer in back-to-backs and not playing the same guy twice, so they had to play him, and he gets a win. He then keeps playing because he plays well. He gets his first shutout on November 30th, and then on December 11th, because again, Freddie Anderson's been very inconsistent this year for the Canes. PK's been banged up, and when Bussy plays, that the guy just wins. So then he sets a record on December 11th, becoming the fastest goalie to 10 wins in 11 games. He is now, and then he won another one, so he's now sitting there at 11-1 in his starts for the Carolina Hurricanes. He got the record in a shootout win against Washington, which was just a really fun game to watch. That was I kind of still hate that some of these games get decided in a shootout, but it is what it is in the regular season. So here you go. You got a kid now that at 27 could be in the Calder Trophy conversation, because when he plays, the Carolina Hurricanes just win games behind him for whatever reason. And he's not been bad. I mean, he's got a 230 goals against average. He's sitting there at a 915 save percentage. He doesn't. It's weird watching him play goal. He's not orthodox, but he doesn't give up on a play. There's some plays that he looks terrible in, but he stops the puck. It's just he's something.
Yeah, I think I remember. No, it's great. It's a great story, and good for Boosie, in Carolina for finding this kid. Not that he's that much of a kid, but
Right.
27 though. That's when Tim Thomas finally started, and he wound up winning a Stanley Cup. But the thing about Boosie, first, the fastest in 11 games. Now, if I recall correctly, one of those was a guy named Patrick Lalime, who played for Pittsburgh, and I think he won like 9 straight in a row. And we all remember how that career turned out. But the thing about Boosie is like I said earlier with another team, he finds himself on a hockey team that is pretty darn good and scores goals. So I think if I'm right, the games that he's winning, they're scoring like 4, 5, and 6 goals on most of those nights. And he's only given up 2 or 3. I get that.
Yeah.
But he's on a team that's going to be winning games. So it's always good that, if you're going to be a young player coming up, it's always good to be on a team that's good.
It does help for that for sure. I think these last couple of games though haven't been that way for him, and he's like, you go to a shootout against Washington, you're earning that win, and even against Philly, he stopped Zegras on a play where Zegras made a great move, got by him, but then he stuck out a leg pad and got it down in time. Like it just, it's weird,
Now Washington isn't actually very good in the shootouts, by the way, but
true, I know. They still don't, and they didn't use Ovi either, which I still
I know use Ovi again on the shootout. He doesn't have what he did, and he wasn't very good on the shootout back in the day. That's why you would put like Alexander Semin and stuff like that in.
Yeah. It's just I don't know. And look, it's interesting because I think up until this run, and a lot of people were wondering, well, where does Carolina believe in him? Well, when you started him against Washington, and which was a game for first place, I think that said everything about where they think about where their goaltending is right now. Because I don't know if Carolina's going to make a move for a goalie or not at this point in time. But we'll see how that all plays out. So,
well, I think Brendan Moore is smart enough too as a coach. I mean, and he's been around for years and years and years as a player too. Is that riding the hot hand gets you far in hockey? It gets you. Riding the hot hand can win you a Stanley Cup. Ask the mid-2000 teens. Pittsburgh Steelers Pittsburgh Penguins. After they got rid of the Fleury.
Yep.
They say they were riding hot hands for a while there.
Matt Murray, that was one of them. So we'll see, and I don't know how long it's going to last, but it's a fun story, and I love these little stories that come out of the NHL every year. You got somebody like this that just. It wasn't supposed to do anything. He finally gets a start, and then sometimes, especially in goal, you get a start, you play well, you're normally going to get another one, and then you keep playing well. It's hard to take a guy out of a net when they're playing well.
That's right. Hopefully for the kid, I hope he does well. And I mean, I don't know if he's doing so well, I don't know if you trade him.
Oh, they're not going to trade him. It's just
Yeah, I don't know if you do that.
what do you do with Freddie Anderson at that point in
Oh,
time?
yeah,
Because
yeah. Well,
yeah, but
how old's Freddie Anderson?
35. He's looked 35 this year. This year he's not played well for sure.
I think you might want to find a contender for him
Yeah.
on the West Coast.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Just in case. So. All right, so we're getting towards the end here. Next week's show we will be on Monday, December 22nd. We'll recap the 4 playoff games. We'll recap all those big games that we talked about. I am eventually going to get into to this legalized gambling and its effect on sports, but I got busy with Teddy this week and was not able to finalize that. So eventually here we'll get at that maybe on a week where we don't have quite as much going on either. So anything that you want to touch on before we wrap this all up with a pretty bow?
Yeah, I just want to say it was wonderful on Saturday with Wreaths Across America. The coordinator at the Bear, Delaware Cemetery, the Veteran Cemetery, which is the largest veteran cemetery in Delaware, invited me during the ceremony to place a wreath for the Merchant Marines. Every armed forces got one wreath before everyone else went to place wreaths at the soldiers. So that was a really wonderful experience.
Very awesome.
It was freezing, but I was really honored. So it was really cool.
I do want to bring back one quick comment from Scooter. I'll be honest with you. I've not done much research on the transfer portal. So Scooter, I'll throw this out in case maybe you do. He was asking between Dylan and Bryce, if they both go in the portal, who do you guys feel fits better in the scheme Miami runs with Shannon and Dawson? I'll be honest with you, Anthony. I don't know enough about it right now at this point in time to give you a good, honest comment, but at least wanted to read it for you. Scooter, you got any feelings on this one at all?
Yeah, I mean, I don't either. I know that we're talking about Miami, and let's we'll see. Let's let them play their playoff game first.
I know. Eventually, we'll have to probably get it.
Yeah, I get where you come in. That's always good forward thinking, but there's a lot to take in right now. So let's just we'll wait till that part later. And with the players, we probably have to look at them a little more than seeing, because I wouldn't be able to tell you who would fit in what scheme.
Sarah throwing a little soccer, I guess, in the College Cup final tonight, NC State versus Washington. There you go. She's always got throwing her Wolfpack in there. So, all right. Let's see here. Exit ramp real quick. Of course, look, here's your rundown of these Sideline Junkies, folks. There's shows for you everywhere. That we have here that you can just get and have all kinds of fun with. So, of course, we're on here tonight. Coach Powell will be on here in a little bit here tonight with the Pretenders and Contenders. Unapologetic Sports is tomorrow at 6:30. Then you got the Tuesday Night Flight, Nothing But Net, and in the passenger seat on Wednesday, Thursday Night Throwdown on Thursdays, the Gridiron on Saturday, WrestleManiacs on Saturday night, and then, of course, the Sunday Morning Rise. So your shows are here for you. And then, of course, like we talked about earlier, if you can't watch us live, you can always catch us on your favorite podcast. We are on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Pocket Cast, Podbean, Castbox, and Odyssey to check us out. So there are plenty of ways to check us out. Yes, Showtime, we will wish you good luck on your night before finals. Go kick butt and get a good grade, please.
You got that. You're better than me. I would get a C.
Hey, C's can even be okay at this point in time.
Maybe graduate college.
Yeah, so there we have it. That is everything there. Before we say adieu for tonight, Scott, anything else you want to touch on or hit?
Not just stay warm, everyone. It's cold out there, and have a scotch or a whiskey, a bourbon, a beer, something.
I will end with this because I wasn't going to bring it up, but he did put it in the comments, and I just got to find it real quick here again because it was earlier. It is off topic. I will, I wasn't going to bring it up because it's not really sports related, but he did make some great movies and Rob Reiner, so I'm going to leave it at that for this show. So
Stand by Me, baby. That's one of the great movies of all time.
Harry Met Sally. Of course, my favorite personal one was Princess Bride.
Yeah. Well, let's just say it's always sad when anyone passes away. And in such a way, it was just really horrible and heartbreaking.
Yeah, and it's still developing story. So I'm gonna leave it at that for the family's sake. I think that's the best way to leave it because there's just a lot to dive into there. That's not for us.
Prayers for Rob Reiner's family, and his father was amazing, a genius. Carl was one of Mel Brooks's best friends for years up until when Carl died a few years ago at like 101.
And I still remember from the Meathead days in Archie Bunker, which is,
Yeah.
which is kind of funny because you have that character that played, the Meathead versus Archie Bunker, and they would have the clash of different things. And of course, a show that would not even be able to be on TV today. Let's be honest, Archie Bunker could not be on the air today.
And he was once married to Penny Marshall,
Yeah,
Laverne.
rest in
And,
peace to
you know,
her too.
Penny was an amazing comedian and filmmaker in her own right. So
She was
there's just a lot of geniuses in
sad,
the filmmaking.
sad situation. That's we'll leave it at, I think so. But with that, again, that's what always brings up how I always end the show. Make sure you tell your loved ones that you love them and hug them, because tomorrow's not guaranteed. But if you are here, we hope that you join us next week on Drive Time. So until then, we will say adieu, adieu, adieu to you and you and you.